It's like stepping inside a modern-day Alice in Wonderland. What may look unassuming from the outside actually is a place to expand your mind. We took a tour of the world's first Psychedelic Athenaeum, a psychedelic safe space for curious minds.
Welcome to the Athenaeum, presented by the Psychedelic Assembly. This is our psychedelic library, social club, and community center. So it is 1,000 square feet. We have events here all the time, panels, lectures, author talks, book signings.
So the Psychedelic Assembly, we are an organization that's dedicated to the conversation and education of psychedelics, and we believe that by bringing people together to integrate these profound experiences through art, through education, through community, that it provides kind of a more holistic experience for one that is using psychedelics. As these things become legal, we just believe that it's very important to provide space and community for.
But before we get more into that, let's rewind when it all began in the Amazon rainforest.
I moved to Peru in 2017. I worked with the Amaracayeri people studying essentially ethnobotany, traditional plant medicine. I worked at an ayahuasca center for about 3 years. What I realized was that psychedelics can really help people, but the human container is critical. Having human connection and people to listen to and to talk to about these experiences afterwards is what really helps people heal.
So how did you two meet?
So we met at this retreat center. So after I had spent my time in the jungle, I came back up to Cusco, and that's how Kat and I met. We kind of immediately had this like, oh, we're gonna do a thing together.
Then, like most situations in 2020, the COVID pandemic quickly changed their course.
When the pandemic hit in 2020, I was in the Amazon, ended up having to evacuate the jungle pretty dramatically.
The two parted ways. Kat headed to Manhattan, where she entered the environmental activism scene. By chance, Susie bumped into Kat at a demonstration held outside of the United Nations. A few months later, the idea for the Psychedelic Assembly was born.
If you go around Manhattan, you see all the empty retail stores. I mean, there's only so many Dwayne Reeds that you can open, or banks.
The space is owned by friend and landlord Michael Dubler.
It's still ground floor retail, and it's a very unique looking space. I can't think of a better use for it. We've never had one person raise a hint of some sort of, impropriety or something like that. There does seem to be a demand for this.
And the demand keeps growing. One new study analyzed over 2 decades of data in hallucinogen use. It found more than 5 million people in the US are estimated to use psychoactive substances in 2019 alone, particularly LSD, which increased in all age groups. But these women want you to know it's not always a good trip.
Here in New York, there's actually a bill that was presented by legislatures earlier this year. What do you think are the possibilities that you could see this legalized in New York?
You know, our third co-founder, Abby Lyle, actually helped co-write that bill. I think it's sort of inevitable that these things will eventually be decriminalized, if not fully legalized. Approach it kind of carefully because it's a lot more powerful than cannabis. These things aren't new, they're ancient, but they're new to us. We don't really have a foundation for how to work with them yet.
By providing a consistent brick-and-mortar space for people to come together, we are fully legal. We are above ground. We do not consume psychedelics here. We do not trade or nothing like that. We talk about these things here. A lot of these things are illegal. We know people are using them. Let's provide some sound information so people can know how often, what not to do, what is safe, what isn't. We provide fentanyl test strips because we know fentanyl is in a lot of things. It's extremely dangerous. So by providing materials that the community, for free, that the community can access to stay safe.
And as someone who's new and curious about the world of psychedelics, this is a great place, I felt, for me to start. Can't speak to this, but I am sure that psychedelics are all over the city, which makes it a little scarier to say, who am I going to speak to? Where's the community where I can feel safe?
In Midtown, I'm Linda Gaudino, News 4 New York.